Astra Guardians, Episode 1. Episode 1, When Stars Awaken. Before the first dreams were ever dreamed, there was a world born of light, the dream realm, woven from hope, wonder, and ancient stardust. But nothing pure can exist without challenge. From the cracks between dreams, darkness seeped into the skies, endless, devouring, silent. The first guardians fought and fell. Their sacrifice sealed the darkness away, but not forever. Soft rumble of ominous energy building. Now, cracks return, and new stars must rise. Chapter 1. The Sky Listens. Long ago, before the first dream was ever dreamed, there was a world woven from light, a place where hope shimmered like the surface of a quiet lake. This was the dream realm, a sanctuary hidden between reality and imagination, cradled by stardust and wishes. But no dream lasts forever. From the emptiness beyond the stars, a darkness stirred, cold and endless, swallowing whole the brightest lights. The ancient guardians fell one by one, sealing the darkness away with their final breath, leaving behind only whispers, legends, and a sky full of waiting stars. In the glittering city of falling stars, one girl still listened to the sky's silent songs. Lyra Solstice had never quite belonged among the busy streets and flickering neon lights. She preferred rooftops to sidewalks, stars to screens, dreams to deadlines. Where others heard only silence, Lyra heard music. A hum at the edge of perception, like a lullaby half remembered. Tonight, the song was louder, urgent. Perched on her favorite rooftop, Lyra hugged her knees, staring at the sky. The stars pulsed faintly, brighter than ever before. A single point of light grew larger, streaking toward her. Not like a shooting star. No, it curved, twisted, aimed. Lyra, that's not normal. The sky tore open with a roar. A comet of silver flame plunged toward the city. Straight toward her. Lyra scrambled back, but there was nowhere to run. Light engulfed her, warm and cold all at once, pulling at the edges of her soul. When she could see again, something floated before her. A wand. It wasn't a wand like in stories. It was pure energy. A shaft of woven starlight wrapped in bands of silver. It pulsed gently, calling to her. Hesitant, breath shaking, Lyra reached out. The moment her fingers brushed the wand, it exploded into motion. Ribbons of silver wrapped her body, spinning faster and faster until they formed a flowing uniform stitched from constellations. Her heart raced. Terror, wonder, and a strange sense of rightness. Lyra, what is this? Before she could process it, a tremor shook the rooftop. Cracks spiderwebbed out around her. From the shadows, figures emerged. Twisted things with glistening claws and too many eyes. The nightmares had smelled her awakening. Instinct took over. The wand raised itself in her hand, glowing brighter. Lyra fired a blast of starlight, pure, raw, shattering the nearest creature into dust. But there were more, so many more. Lyra, I have to fight. Alone on a rooftop under a torn sky, Lyra Solstice took her first steps into a world of light and darkness, a world where the fate of dreams themselves hung in the balance. But even the brightest star cannot stand alone. and far across the city, others were awakening too. Chapter 2. The First Shadows. Far below the sleeping city, cracks webbed across forgotten alleys and silent parks. The darkness had waited, patient, for the stars to blink first. Now it spilled upward, hungry, formless, shaping itself into horrors drawn from human fears. They were creatures without name, smoky bodies, twisting limbs, mouths too wide for their faces. Nightmares made flesh. On a rooftop lit only by the comet's dying light, Lyra Solstice stood alone. The new wand in her hand pulsed with warmth, but her fingers trembled. She could barely understand what had happened to her. And now, the night was coming alive around her. Lyra. No. This can't be real. The first creature lunged. Without thinking, Lyra swung the wand. A brilliant arc of starlight exploded from its tip, slamming into the creature and dissolving it in a burst of silver dust. Her heart pounded. She had power. But one creature was nothing. Dozens more poured from the cracks, shadows with clawed hands and broken wings. Lyra. I can't. There's too many. She ran. Across rooftops slick with mist, down metal fire escapes clanging under her boots. The creatures followed, relentless, silent, but for the raking sound of their claws. Chase music intensifies. Lyra fired beams of light behind her, striking some down, but the drain was immediate. The wand vibrated in her hands, growing heavier with every blast. This magic wasn't endless, and neither was her strength. She stumbled into a dead end, a rooftop boxed in by towering brick walls. Trapped. Lyra. No. Please. Sound. Growls surrounding her. Footsteps closing in. Tears blurred her vision. She raised the wand again, willing the stars to help her. Willing anyone to help. Lyra, voice cracking. Somebody, anyone, help me. Beat of silence, then sudden whirlwind sound. Narrator, relieved, surprised. The night exploded into motion. A blast of wind slammed into the shadows, tossing them backward like paper dolls. A figure landed beside Lyra in a crouch. Short, spiky hair, whipping in the breeze, twin fans gleaming like blades. Sora Zephyr, well, if you're handing out invites, how could I say no? The monsters snarled, regrouping. But now Lyra wasn't alone. Sora flicked her fans forward, sending slicing arcs of wind toward the nearest beasts, scattering them again. Sora. Nice light show, rookie. Mind if I crash your party? Lyra. Be my guest. More figures appeared. A shimmer of mist revealing a tall girl in deep navy armor, eyes glowing with the faint sheen of shadows. Vera Nocturne. The scythe in her hands hummed with lethal promise. From a fiery arc in the sky, a third girl descended. Ember Veil, landing in a burst of flames that sent the shadows recoiling. And from the mist rising off the river, a fourth girl emerged. Marin Elara, silent and serene, carrying a staff crowned by a pearl of pure water. For the first time, Lyra realized she wasn't fighting alone. 5 lights against the dark. 5 hearts refusing to fall. Together, they drove the nightmare back into the cracks it had crept from. Together, they turned the tide. Chapter 3. new winds rise. The sky had torn open, but it was not the end. It was a beginning. The creatures from the cracks scurried back into the shadows. But they were not finished. They would wait. And when the stars were distracted, they'd strike again. For now, it was only Lyra who stood alone beneath the weight of the night. Her hands shook. The wand, now pulsating faintly in her grip, was the only thing that kept her standing. The light was fading, but she could still feel it. A connection, like an invisible thread drawing her forward. Lyra, I don't know what I just did. I don't know if I can do this again. But just as the fear threatened to overwhelm her, a gust of wind swept across the rooftop. It wasn't just any wind. It carried with it the scent of something wild, something free. And then, in the blink of an eye, a figure descended from the night sky. Sora Zephyr, you've got the stars, I've got the wind. How about we make this party a bit more interesting? A girl with wild, untamed hair and twin fans glowing with an ethereal energy landed beside Lyra with a grin. Lyra. Who, what, how? Sora. Relax, rookie. I'm not gonna bite. But those things you just fought? Yeah, definitely not the last of them. Before Lyra could respond, another figure dropped from the shadows, tall and poised, wrapped in a cloak of dark fabric. A woman whose presence seemed to demand respect. She wielded a gleaming scythe, and her eyes flickered with an eerie, gentle glow. Vera Nocturne. Vera, you fought bravely, but you will need more than just starlight to survive what's coming. And then, as though summoned by the very air itself, another figure burst from the sky. A figure who seemed to ignite everything she touched. Ember Veil. Her fiery aura blazed around her, flickering with every movement as if she were the very embodiment of a shooting star. Ember. Well, look at this. Looks like we've got ourselves a new recruit. Nice light show, kid. Ember landed with a burst of fire, the flames fizzling out the moment her boots touched the ground. Lyra. Wait. What's going on? Who are you? What do you want with me? But before anyone could answer, the sound of rushing water broke through the air, followed by the quiet, serene presence of Marin Alara, her water staff shimmering with soft ripples of light. Marin. What she means is, you're not alone anymore. Marin's voice was steady, almost like the calm after a storm. Her presence grounded Lyra, and for the first time, she felt the crushing weight of the situation, but not alone. And just like that, Lyra found herself surrounded, not by shadows, but by light. Not by enemies, but by allies. Sora, Vera, Ember, and Marin. They were the Astra Guardians, the chosen protectors of the Dream Realm. And now, they had found Lyra. Together, they would face the darkness. Together, they would rise. Lyra, I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't want to be alone in this. Sora. Don't worry, newbie. We've got your back. We fight as one. With Sora's words, the wind began to swirl around them, a force of nature uniting them. The starlight that had filled Lyra's heart was now intertwined with fire, water, and shadows, each element binding them together. With a collective heartbeat, the Astra Guardians raised their weapons toward the sky. A single, unified light shot through the clouds, reaching the heavens themselves. For the first time, the Astra Guardians stood together. all in unison. We are the Astra Guardians, protectors of the dream realm, keepers of the light. As the stars above them twinkled in approval, they knew their journey had just begun. And already, the darkness was stirring, watching, waiting. Chapter 4: The First Stand. The night was still, too still. The wind had died down, and the only sound was the distant hum of the city. But something felt wrong. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest as she stood with the Astra Guardians, standing firm against the looming darkness. They had only just come together, and already the enemy was moving, watching, waiting. Far from the safe haven of their rooftop, the city sprawled below them, unaware of the storm that was about to break. From the cracks in the sky, the first shadows began to stir. Dark tendrils of mist slithered through the streets, curling around buildings, creeping toward the hearts of the city. But this time, they were not alone. The creatures Lyra had fought earlier reappeared, but they were not the same. No, these had evolved. Their eyes burned with a sickly yellow glow, and their claws seemed to shimmer with dark energy. At their head was something far more terrifying, a creature unlike any Lyra had seen before. A hulking mass of shadows, its form shifting, melting between darkness and flame. "Get ready!" Sora Zephyr's voice called out, sharp and commanding. With a flourish, Sora snapped her fans open, the blades gleaming with elemental wind. She swung them, the gusts of air swirling around the team. "I don't think these shadows came here to chat." Without hesitation, Ember Veil ignited her fiery aura, flames licking the ground beneath her feet. Ember... Well, if they want a fight, let's give them one. With a roar, she shot forward, fire blazing in her wake, cutting through the oncoming dark tendrils with ease. Vera Nocturne stepped forward, her scythe gleaming under the dim lights of the city. Her eyes flickered, glowing faintly as she raised her weapon. "Vera, stay focused. We don't know how many more are coming." With a flick of her wrist, the scythe slashed through the air, creating a rippling wave of shadow that cut down another wave of creatures. Lyra watched in awe as the Astra Guardians moved with precision, their power flowing as one. Wind, fire, shadow, water, each one playing their part in the grand symphony of battle. Her heart raced, and then she felt it, the connection to the wand. The starlight surged again through her veins, and without thinking, she raised it high, sending a beam of pure starlight straight toward the enemy. "Lyra, take this!" The blast exploded on contact, scattering shadows and sending a ripple of light through the darkened streets. But the shadows were relentless. More and more twisted creatures emerged from the depths of the darkness, their eyes glowing with malicious intent. "We need to end this now!" Sora shouted, her voice urgent. Marin Elara stepped forward, her water staff glowing as she summoned the power of the tides. "Marin, we'll need to push them back, together." With a sweeping motion, Marin raised her staff, and a wave of water erupted from the ground, crashing into the approaching creatures, dousing their flames and scattering them in all directions. The Astra Guardians moved as one, their powers combining in a dazzling display of light and element. Lyra, now standing side by side with her newfound friends, felt the warmth of their energy fill her. Together, they were unstoppable. But just as it seemed they had the upper hand, the darkness shifted once more. The creature at the front of the shadows, the massive, hulking beast, stepped forward, its shape twisting and warping as it towered above the Guardians. With a screech, it opened its mouth, releasing a wave of darkness that swallowed everything in its path. Sora, get down! The wave crashed toward them, and in that instant, the Guardians scattered, barely managing to avoid the deadly blast of pure shadow. Lyra felt the blast graze her side, the force sending her flying backward. She crashed into a nearby rooftop, breath knocked from her lungs. Her vision blurred as she looked up at the towering figure. The creature was closing in, its shadow looming over her. She could feel it. The darkness was growing, consuming everything in its path. But something deep within her stirred. The stars were not done yet. Lyra. I can't give up. Not now. And with that thought, Lyra pulled herself to her feet, her wand glowing brighter than ever. The battle had only just begun.